So we're live. Okay. So hello everyone. Welcome to this tournament game that we've got coming live from the Wingspan tournament Discord server. So my name is Flan, and today I'm joined by my wonderful co-host Elsie. So welcome, Elsie. How are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
Excellent. Yep, couldn't be better. I'm really looking forward to this game. We have got a great matchup in store for you today. So yeah, it should be a good game. So I'll just introduce a little bit about what the game is and what the tournament is that we've got for you. So this is coming from the Striolated Manakin Mayhem Cup, which is a tournament that we've started in the past week or so on the Wingspan tournament Discord. And it's a two-stage tournament. So right now we are in the group stage, which is 8 groups of 5 players, where everyone plays everyone else in their group once, and then the top 3 from each group goes through into a best of 3 single elimination knockout round. So this is coming from Group G, and this I believe is the last game in Group G. So there's quite a bit riding on it. iHate still has the opportunity to get through into the next round if they can win this game. SeeChristy hasn't yet got a win in this tournament, but absolutely, I'm sure they will be looking to finish on a high with a win here. So lots riding on it, and yeah, both our players, I'm sure, will be keen to get a win. So I think both of our players are ready, and we can get into the game and see what the starting hands look like.
For anybody who's looking to join in on the fun and is sad that they've missed the signups for this tournament, there's another tournament going on the Wingspan tournament Discord, which is currently taking signups. It is the Rockhopper Penguin Clash, which is a 1v1 single elimination tournament. So,
yeah. And we've got a few spots left open in there. So yeah, if anyone does want to join, there'll be a link in the there'll be a link in the description on this video. You can come join us, and yeah, get involved in our next tournament, which should be starting soon.
That's
So
an expensive starting hand.
yeah, it is indeed. There's a lot of high cost birds there. What would you look to keep from this? I'm not sure there's a whole lot really going for it at the moment.
I've always been partial to the blue-winged warbler, especially for the first end of round goal. It's a grassland bird. The dick thistle could be useful if you can get a wetland strong enough to feed it.
Yep. Yeah,
But
I think the problem with an early dick thistle is having the right number of cards to be able to tuck under it. You can often fall into a position, particularly in this first round, that you're not going to have the cards. They went very quick there, so they have kept the dick thistle and the warblers you mentioned, and the loon. I think the loon was their only nice looking wetland bird, and obviously works with the omnivore bonus card they've kept as well. So I think that's potentially a nice keep, but I think they'll have to be careful in terms of what cards their opponent is going to play in their wetlands, because obviously that will impact how useful that loon can be for them.
set themselves up very well for their second end of round goal. They've already got 2 ground nests.
Yep.
They can get both cards played.
Indeed.
So this is Condor.
Yeah, so this is SeeChristy's starting hand. Condor's an interesting one. I know there's a lot of opinions on the Condor. Some people really love it, some people really hate it. I think it can be an okay option at the start, just purely because it's no food, so it's really easy to get down. And if that's going to be your only forest or wetland bird, it at least gives you the opportunity to get more cards or to get more food. There's not a whole lot else great in their hand. Maybe I might look at keeping the crossbill, but the 2 seeds for that might be quite difficult.
Oh,
that's a bold play, I think, with the Condor. Unless maybe they're looking at the song Sparrow in the tray, I wonder. But yeah,
even so, just keeping 1 bird.
Yeah, it's a bit risky. I'd imagine, because they've just kept that one, they'd look to get that in their wetlands and start hoping to draw more birds. But yeah, it's you're leaving yourself at the mercy of the deck there, just to see really what comes up.
Did you see SeeChristy's other bonus card option?
I did not, but Ecologist is normally a good shout. I don't
Yeah.
mind that. I think it's fairly easy to get at least 4 from the Ecologist, and certainly you can look to score 6. So I think most bonus cards from the start really, of all of them, I'd probably look to keep Ecologist. Passerine Specialist is okay, but yeah, doesn't unfortunately work with the Condor, so I think they might have a bit of work to do for that one.
Yes. I was
Okay,
thinking
so
the Condor would have been a good keep if their 2 bonus card options to start were something difficult
yeah.
or that didn't work with the end around goals, but
Yeah, I mean, there's always a bit of a dilemma with bonus card birds. Do you play them early game and then give yourself, as much time as possible to play the birds that fulfill that, or do you play them later in the game because you kind of want to prioritize those early rounds for playing brown powers? It's an interesting one, but they've gone for the Swift, maybe with an eye on that Passerine Specialist. Again, it's a similar issue to the Dixisal, really, in that they're going to struggle for the card draw to be able to power that enough.
there'd be a lot of wetlands action in this game, I think.
Yep, I think you're right there. So just looking at iHate, they've opened with the Song Sparrow. What are your thoughts of that? What's your experience playing the Song Sparrow early on?
I don't know that I've ever actually played Song Sparrow out of the migratory birds. It's not one of my favorites because I have a hard time filling up the egg spaces enough to compensate for the fact that it's 0 points.
Yeah, I think it is difficult playing a 0-point bird early on. You kind of feel like you're not getting off to a great start. I think it can be a decent option if you if you don't really have anything else, because it is at least easy to get down. It's just that single food, and certainly early on in the game, food is at such a
Discarding the
premium.
loon.
Yeah, I wonder if they're just going to run the Song Sparrow now as their swap it between the forest and the wetlands. But actually, with the loon, I wouldn't mind that because the Condor is in the wetlands for SeeChristy. So actually, the loon's power would have been able to activate. So yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if they're just going to go blind from the deck and hope they can get something better. But I think it's a bit of a risky play, that.
Do you think the eggs on the Song Sparrow for iHate were to attempt to get more card draws? What was...
I think so. I would imagine they're going to use those eggs now as a way of discarding just to get that second card. Looking at their hand, not really great options in terms of brown powers. I think especially in this first round, you want to get some strong brown powers down, particularly in your forest and your wetlands. So you need to be looking at as many cards as possible in order to make that work. Yeah, so they've got the Cassin Sparrow and the Flicker as well. I think those are both decent options. Cassin Sparrow may be a little bit expensive, but it's a strong grassland bird. Really helps build up your engine and get more eggs going. And yeah, the Flicker is nice. Not with the current bird feeder. You kind of want as many grubs in there as possible, but they might just chance it on the reroll and hope they can get some food and really kickstart their game here. So I think SeeChristy just drew the Wren on their turn. That's quite a nice pickup early game, especially when your wetlands is not looking so good. I think that ability to at least get a forest bird down, and it gets you 2 cards. And at the moment, they have to discard an egg to get 2 cards. So I think that's a good option. It helps the bonus card on the Passerine Specialist. So I think they should look to get that down as soon as possible, really. Okay, interesting that iHate has not moved their Song Sparrow. I can only assume they're going to go for food again, or maybe they might play the Sparrow and then go for food. To move the Song Sparrow then into the grasslands as that second bird. But I guess we'll see. That's another nice draw, I think, there for SeeChristy. White Star is such a strong bird early on. It just gives you that ability to get so much more food much more quickly. And yeah, works with their bonus card, works with that second end of round goal. So yeah, I think they'll look to get the grub and get that down as soon as possible.
SeeChristy's been getting lucky with the draws for passer and specialist.
Yep. Yeah, I think they can certainly look at least meeting the lower end of that bonus card now. And yeah, depending on their future card draw, they might even be able to push themselves up into the second tier and yeah, really maximize the points from that. Okay, I think iHate played the Dick Sissel on their last turn, which is interesting. They don't have a lot of options really for their wetlands. In fact, they haven't got any options really other than moving the Song Sparrow over. I do wonder if they might struggle to really make use of that Dick Sissel just because of their limited card draw, but it could pay off. You know, if they do manage to build up their wetlands in the second round, then you know Dick Sissel's always a good option because you're going to draw more cards than you could possibly play. So actually having the ability to tuck those for points and get extra eggs is certainly not a bad option to have.
We got the first tuck on the Swift from SeeChristy last turn, but I missed what card he discarded.
I think I saw the blue heron in their hand.
Yeah, it's not there now.
So I'm just trying to think if they discarded that for food, but I don't think they did. So yeah, I think that must be what they discarded. So I think that makes sense. They kind of don't really have the food draw at the moment to be able to justify having a bird like that in their hand. Nuthatch is nice, absolutely. So again, another one that works with the passery specialist. So I think they could potentially look to get the nuthatch down, and then get the food for the White Star, and then suddenly that's a really strong forest they've got going. It's going to get them a lot of food and points as well at the same time. So that's definitely a good draw there for SeeChristy.
It's always my goal building a forest is trying to get either 3 food, like with a limited amount of birds, or points while drawing food. This just helps you later on when you're trying not to waste turns.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a video on this channel actually that came out quite recently, which is a tier list for early game birds in Wingspan. And yeah, one of the points in that video is cards like the Nuthatch and the White Star. They are so strong to get in this early game just because it's getting you points, but also that ability to get extra food. And yeah, certainly, I think if they can get the White Star down, that gives them the option for getting 3 or 4 food a turn from their forest, as well as the cash on the Nuthatch. An early game when food is so difficult to come by, I just think that is you can't sort of overestimate the ability to get much food on one turn, especially when they've got a big point bird like the Warbler in their hand that I'm sure they'll look to get down as soon as possible.
Warbler in the wetlands would be fantastic for them for card draw as well.
Yeah.
But that leaves them without any brown powers, which...
Yeah, it is a bit of a shame. I think, like having these birds in the forest that get you either points or more food, I think it is always nice to get something in your wetlands that gives you the ability to get more cards. So, there's plenty of birds that go in the wetlands that unlock those extra card draws. But I think the Warbler's nice. I think they will be able to get the food for it. I think if they can get the White Star down now and then get food, they should be able to get it down. So it's an 8-point bird. I think it meets their bonus card as well, so that'd be another one to get them towards the bonus card point. So yeah, I think definitely they should look to get that down, and suddenly they can draw 2 cards a turn instead of just the one. So yeah, they can really think about building up their engine from then.
iHate last turn tucked the Cass and Sparrow for their Dick Sissel. Would you have done that?
Yeah, it's a difficult one. I think the Cass and Sparrow is nice, but when you've got that with the Dick Sissel at the same time, I think it can potentially be too many eggs. Obviously the Song Sparrow's got a lot of spaces, but in total they've only got 10. So yeah, if they had the Sparrow and the Dick Sissel together, if you're getting 5 eggs a turn, you're kind of really limiting the number of turns you can run that strong engine. And yeah, running out of egg spots can be a real problem. So yeah, I don't mind it. I think the Sparrow is a strong card, and it is maybe one I would have played over the Dick Sissel. But I think if you've got the Dick Sissel down, yeah, it's not a terrible idea to get rid of the Casting Sparrow as well. They did manage to draw the Grebe, which is a really strong wetland card. I think that's the kind of card that maybe SeeChristy would have been looking to get in their wetlands as well. But yeah, it's 5 points for a single food. The Star Nest is going to help so much with those end of round goals, and potentially bonus cards as well in the future. So yeah, I think it makes sense that they've gone for the fish here, so they can get that down as soon as possible. Okay, I just wonder what SeeChristy's going to do here, because they have got the food to get down either of those birds, but they haven't got the 2 grubs for the Warbler, so they would have to pay 2 for 1, which might not be ideal. They are going for cards there, which is interesting. I think I possibly would have looked to play the Warbler first. You know, you're paying the egg for the Warbler, but you're having to pay the egg now anyway to get those 2 cards. So I think they could have saved themselves an egg if they were going to get that Warbler down now. And the card draw there isn't great either, so yeah, that's really not what they would have been looking to draw.
Yeah.
Are either of them focusing on end of round goals?
Yeah, I was just wondering that. I think it looks like SeeChristy's going to have 2 ground nests, but once iHate gets this Grebe down, they should be able to tie that. So I think iHate did win end of round goal 1, with the Song Sparrow going into their grasslands for the second bird. So they have got the upper hand at the moment. But yeah, I think, you know, in these 2-player games, the end of round goals are so crucial, because you know, anytime your opponent is winning an end of round goal, you are then also losing it. So your opponent gets lots of points and you get not many. So you know, there are so many games I can think of that I've played where I felt I had a really strong point scoring engine, but I just wasn't able to get the end of round goals. And you know, if you lose 3 or even 4 of those end of round goals, it's such a big points difference that you're giving to your opponent. So yeah, you certainly can't afford to ignore them in these 2-player games.
Especially with the points on the birds that both of them have. Neither of them have. Well, I know SeeChristy in particular, their highest point bird is a 2. So.
Yep. Yeah, I think that is always a bit of a concern. You know, when you've got 5 birds down and they only total 7 points. Obviously, the Nuthatch is going to get a few cached food, and the Swift is going to get some tuck cards. And they do have the Warbler in their hand, which is an 8-point bird, so I think they can look to get that down. But yeah, certainly in terms of points on the board, I think iHate is looking in the stronger position now. Okay, they've managed to get a Nuthatch of their own. I would probably lean towards keeping that and playing certainly over those other birds. I don't think the Whistling Duck is something they could really afford to play at the moment. So it definitely makes sense to discard that one.
Personally, I wouldn't have, like, the Whistling Duck obviously is a tuck, but I'm not sure if I would play the Nuthatch this late in the game, because we're already through the second round.
Yeah, it's
the only reason I consider it is if, I don't know, I can't remember SeeChristy's forest if they've got 2 birds down already.
Yeah, they've got the Warbler, and then they've got the Song Sparrow, which is obviously moving between the habitats. So they do have the potential, if they have the Song Sparrow in the right place at the right time, to get those 2 food. You're right. I think, you know, one of the key things about you know, having the right birds at the right time. So this Nuthatch, if they've got it in round 1, absolutely it's an instant play. But yeah, certainly in Wingspan, you have to be able to recognise the point where it's not worth playing a bird. It's certainly borderline at the moment for the Nuthatch. You know, if they play that
for the last round goal.
Yeah, it would certainly help with that.
There it goes.
It has gone. Yeah, I think that's okay. Certainly they needed to lay eggs there. I think to tie that end of round goal. But yeah, I mean, unless they planned on gaining food maybe another 4 or 5 times to get those cash food on the nuthatch, yeah, it probably wasn't worth playing at that point, just because there's only 11 turns left right now. You know, you're not going to get maximum usage out of it.
Do you suspect that iHate is going to keep the Song Sparrow there for the rest of the game?
I would expect them to move it. I think they're looking to go for the sparrow here, which is a nice option for their second grassland bird. It's interesting they've gone yellow throat again. It's kind of the same point as what we were saying about the nuthatch. You know, does it get to the point where it's almost not worth playing it anymore? I think certainly the Merganser in their hand, considering they have the unmovable bonus card, you know, that Merganser suddenly worth 7 points, and it helps towards that last end of realm goal. So I think if you're looking to get a wetland bird down, probably that one. But yes, that song sparrow, it will probably move around a little bit, but considering they don't have any more forest birds, I think they'll need to be careful about timing when they have their actions, just to make sure that, you know, when they need that food, the song sparrow is there so they can at least get 2.
Not a great draw from...
No, and I think this is the problem when you have you know, a wetlands like this where you are only getting 2 cards. You're just at the mercy of what the deck is going to give you. You know, the burrowing owl, they might be able to make that work. You know, it is 5 points and it has got a lot of nest spots, but the brown power isn't ideal. But yeah, whenever you can only get 2 cards a turn, and you don't have these other birds that allow you to cycle through these cards, then you are just at the mercy of what the deck's going to give you. And yeah, sometimes it doesn't give you good stuff and you just got to deal with it.
Oh, tuck the owl.
Yeah, I think Shrike Shrike is probably one of those birds that I've played maybe once. It's yeah, no one really likes the Shrike, so I think it makes sense for them to at least get rid of that there. But you know, with the Swift, they've got to think about these other cards they've got. You know, which of those are they going to tuck under that? So I think they might look to get the quail and owl down just based on the food they've taken. That definitely puts their grassland in a stronger position, but I think the problem will be with that Swift and just having enough cards to be able to tuck under that. That kind of looks like it's their limiting factor at the moment.
I'm not confident in playing the scaled quail. Like, it's likely that...
Yeah, again,
I don't know if
it's
running the
yeah.
grassland straight is going to give enough credit to
Scaled quail.
their
Quail
like
chicks can get up
value
Yeah.
out the 0-point bird in round 3.
Yeah, I think again it's one of these where you need to have an idea of how many times you're gonna you know, activate a certain habitat. So with the quail, you know, it is 0 points, but if you can activate your grasslands 5 times and it gets you 5 eggs, you know, one food for 5 eggs, I think you could argue that that's worth it. But yeah, I think, you know, it's the only place they're going to score big points. The other option is just draw blind from the deck and hope you get some big birds. Their forest is certainly strong enough to deal with that and get the food for it. But yeah, I think certainly if they're going to try and score lots of points, I think running the grasslands is probably their best option at the moment.
They've got the egg spaces for it, luckily.
Yeah, I think that's the one thing they've got going for them at the moment. Obviously, they will need to draw cards again at some point if they are planning on using the Swift. So it is at least a bit of an insurance. You know, they can go blind from the deck. If they get a big point bird, get the food and play it. You know, if you don't necessarily get the food for it, you can always tuck it under the Swift and still get points for it. So yeah, it at least gives you options.
Both the Swift in the forest is an interesting play.
Yeah,
I'm for the end of round goal.
And it might be for the bonus card as well. I'm not sure exactly how many they've got that count towards that, but they might have had an eye on that. But yeah, certainly, I think they will struggle to be able to activate that again for the same reason as the other Swift in the grasslands. They're just not going to have enough cards really to be able to tuck under that.
They've just hit the bottom limit on pass range specialist, so I think you might be right about the bonus cards.
Yeah, I think you might be able to make a case that was worth it, but you know it's 2 points bird, and you lose those 2 points instantly from the eggs from playing it. So you know if it helps you win the end of round goal in round 4 as well, then absolutely it's worth it. But just for that bonus card, yeah, maybe it's not necessarily worth it. I think SeeChristy is kind of in a similar position, really. Sorry, iHate is in a similar position to SeeChristy. You know, having to kind of draw blind from the deck and see what they get, and they obviously have the insurance of the Dick Sizzle there. I think this could be quite close. Certainly, you know, I think SeeChristy is edging it on the bonus cards, but it looks like iHate is, you know, able to keep it close at least in the end of round goal. So. In terms of points on the board, it's not looking super strong for SeeChristy, but you know, we'll see what happens in this last round.
Is that they just have so few birds down. They only have 6, and it's the 4th round.
Yeah, and obviously that's hurt them in that last end of round goal in round 3. But yeah, you're right. You know, I think you can afford sometimes to run a low number of birds. But they need to be strong birds. You know, they need to be birds with really strong brown powers. They're going to score you a lot of points whenever you activate them. And I just don't think they've really got that at the moment.
Yeah, and they don't have the egg spaces to just run their glasslands for the rest of the game either, which is something that SeeChristy can do. So
exactly, yeah. I mean, they've got the cards. You know, they've got enough cards to be able to tuck. But you're right. I think egg space is potentially going to be a problem for them. And you know, even if it wasn't, I think the grasslands that they've got is not looking super strong. You know, that hawk, the power on that isn't great. You can't really rely on that for a lot of points. So yeah, I think it's kind of a difficult one. They need a big point bird in the tray really, and it's not looking like that's come up for them so far.
Grosbeak is too expensive to balance out the points, you think?
Yeah, I think so. Because you know you've got to spend a turn getting the card, and then you've got to spend a turn getting the food for it. So I think when you look in this final round, if it takes you 3 turns to get a bird down, you know you could have laid eggs 3 times instead, and you know more often than not, even with a half decent grasslands, you're going to score more points doing that. I wonder if SeeChristy might. I thought they might go for the Bobolink there. That could potentially have been a good option. I know they have got quite a few of those ground nest spots. So obviously getting 1 free egg on each of those is going to work nicely.
They've got almost all of the cost for it too, I think.
Exactly, yeah. So I think if they had gone for that, they could have maybe got, you know, gone to the bird feeder once and then got enough food to get the Bobolink and maybe even the Ahinga down. And certainly, I think it would be nice if they could get both down. I think I know they have got another grassland bird. I think it might be a bonus card bird that they've got in their hand. So potentially you might look to get that down as well.
Vireo is a play too, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, so they've got the Vireo, which they were looking at playing, I think, on their previous term, but they decided to go for cards instead. But I think, yeah, Brant is an interesting one here. Considering they just drew cards, I think if there was anything in the tray that they really wanted, they could have taken it on that turn. So I'm not sure playing the Brant to pick up cards that you just rejected.
Change their mind.
Great play. Yeah, I think this is probably the right play for them. You know, if they've got an eye on their ecologist bonus card, you know, you want to try and get something in the grasslands, but then also in the wetlands as well. I think they probably have got the food for it as well now. So especially if they get a tuck here, and then obviously the white start's going to give them another grub. So yeah, I think that makes their last few turns a little bit easier there.
Only reason I can see that iHate would have played the Brant is that they have the Omnivore bonus card as well, but I don't think 2 more points off of the bonus card would cancel out pretty much wasting the turn on the Brant.
No, and I think right now for both players, you know, it's pretty clear what they have to do for the rest of the game. So you know, you look at SeeChristy, they've got 3 turns left. They've got a couple of birds they'll look to play, and then maybe lay eggs once. And then I think for iHate, you know, they've got they played the Sparrow on their last turn, so that now only meant 4 turns laying eggs. So they have got the space for that, and enough cards as well. To tuck under their dicks. This also, I think they could probably just look to run their grasslands for the rest of the game, and that is probably going to maximise their points from this position.
Oh, there's your bonus card.
Yeah, so there's a long spur. Yeah, so this could, this could potentially decide where the game is going to go. It does feel quite close. That's not great. 2-0 points.
0 points on both.
Yeah, and no real option of getting anything from those. If they had one other bird already that ate fish, they could look to get the Ahinga down, and then you get 3 points. But yeah, that's the lottery aspect of it. You play a bonus card bird with a couple of turns to go. You might get something that gives you 6 points, but you can also get something that gives you 0. So it is unfortunate, but there's not a whole lot you can do about it. I think at this point, their best players still get the Ahinga down and then lay eggs, and just hope that it's enough for them.
I believe that the Longspur might qualify for their Passerine Specialist, so...
It does. It does. I think they are still 1 short, though. So, if they had gone Bobolink, that would have potentially been their 6th card for that, which would have bumped them up 1. And obviously the Longspur as well with another ground nest would have made that a bit stronger. But then again, they wouldn't have been able to play the Ahinga and get 2 extra points from the Ecologist. So, so much of the end game of Wingspan is working out what combinations of turns is going to get you the maximum number of points. And especially, when something like a bonus card is thrown into the mix, it just makes it even more difficult to work out, what the right play is.
I feel sorry for that scaled quail. It's gotten no uses.
Yeah, I think it's going to get 1 go. Yeah, so I think you were right at the time that maybe playing it, wasn't the best course of action. I think if they played it and then activated their grasslands, 3, 4, 5 times in this final round, then I think you could make a case for it. But yeah, I think laying eggs just once, and just getting 1 point from it, it's not a great use of a turn.
I'm always hesitant to keep those lay 1 egg on this bird cards if it's not within the first 4 turns from my starting hand.
Yeah.
I just don't like betting on it.
Yeah, I think it is one of those that is much stronger at the start. And you're right, there's a few of those birds that get you extra eggs. And certainly, if you play them early and actually get a lot of usage out of them, you can maybe look to get, 7, 8, or 9, or even more eggs from those. And then they really pay for themselves. But that's not
3 round goals to SeeChristy.
Yep, and I think it's pretty close. It looks on the bird points as well. So I think SeeChristy is probably just going to have enough here, with the tucked cards at the end as well. And they do just about 71 to 66. So that is a close game. It kind of swung back and forth a little bit there. Certainly, bonus card luck came into it a little bit at the end, but fortunately that didn't affect SeeChristy too much in terms of the result. So there we have it. That's the final game in Group G, and that leaves both iHate and SeeChristy with 1 win in their group. So SeeChristy ending on a high, which is nice to see. But yeah, that was a good game to watch. Thank you everyone who has joined and tuned in for this stream. We're going to be running a few more of these for this tournament in particular, but also for any tournaments we have in the future. If you do want to take part in any of our tournaments, you can come join us at the Wingspan Tournament Discord. There's going to be a link in the description. And as Elsie mentioned at the start of this video, we do have 1 tournament that is currently still accepting signups. So if you're quick and you get into the Discord in the next day or so, you should be able to take part in that as well. So yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next time.